This may look like the African Serengeti, a distant foreign land home to some of the world's most ferocious predators and exotic animals. But take another look, and you'll find this wild scenery isn't quite what it seems.
It's furious. It's fast. It's loopy.
Is it a game park? Is it a theme park? It's both. Stay with us, because this is going to be a behind-the-scenes dawn-to-dusk safari that takes you to the wild side of Tampa Bay's Busch Gardens. Theme parks. They've become one of the world's most popular pastimes. In the United States alone, over 700 theme parks attract 300 million visitors every year. More than the combined attendance of all professional sports events. Competition for visitors is fierce, and that pushes these fantasy lands to design bigger, better, faster rides. But only one dares to take a walk on the wild side. Busch Gardens in Tampa Bay, Florida. A 335-acre African Serengeti theme park that's complete with over 3,000 exotic animals, 22 adrenaline-pumping thrill rides, and a variety of Broadway-style live entertainment. Located in the heart of the American theme park mecca in Central Florida, Busch Gardens is only about an hour away from both Disney World and the Universal Studios theme park in Orlando. While it's not the biggest, flashiest park in the area, it still manages to stand out from the crowd with its unique blend of wild rides and wildlife. 4 million guests a year are dazzled by a well-choreographed spectacle. From lifelong veterans
jerk around up and down all over the places, you know, it's just crazy.
To the youngest first-time visitor.
Look at that cat.
A typical day in the park will take them from habitats housing rare African species like the African lowlands gorilla to head-spinning rides on world-class roller coasters. Like Gwazi, Florida's first dueling wooden coaster. Montu, the tallest and fastest inverted thrill ride in the southeast U.S. And Kumba, with Florida's largest vertical loop. So how did all this start? Anheuser-Busch opened the gardens surrounding the old Tampa brewery in 1959. Back then, the main attraction, besides free beer, was a tropical bird garden home to Florida's wild bird species. Then, in 1965, the company unveiled the 65-acre Serengeti Plain, the country's first free-range habitat for herds of wild animals. It wasn't until the 1970s, as competition in the theme park business began to heat up, that Busch Gardens decided it needed to make a major change. All of a sudden, they were fighting to stay afloat in a sea of world-class theme parks. To survive, they had to go into the thrill ride business. The Stanley Falls Log Flume Ride and the inverted corkscrew coaster Python became the first in a long line of high-tech, cutting-edge attractions. Today, Busch Gardens has evolved into a kaleidoscope of African culture and wildlife. Each area reflects a different corner of the continent. In the northwest corner of the park, the Congo, home to a soaking river rapids ride, and Claw Island, where you'll find the rare Bengal tiger. Due south, on the western edge of the park, is Stanleyville. This is the place to cool off, because it's all about water rides. Timbuktu, in the middle of the park, with its traditional rides and dolphin show, is the place to come with young kids. Just south of here is Nairobi, near the park entrance, where the main attraction is the Mayombe Reserve, which shows off the park's extensive primate collection. It's also where you'll go to set off on your big safari adventure in the park's world-famous Serengeti Wild Animal Park. Also near the entrance, Morocco. This is Broadway Alley, home to live entertainment, as well as a collection of wily crocs. Next door in the southwest corner, you'll find the bird aviary, a tropical paradise of colorful birds. This meticulously manicured Adventureland is really a self-contained city, one that works round the clock.
There's a whole world that goes on behind the scenes, and all those things have to happen. And there's a huge staff of as many as 3,000 folks that would work here at our peak time to make all of this magic come to life, to make all of this experience happen without a guest ever realizing that it's going on.
Tag along as we sneak into the park for a view you've never seen before, as we spend a day in the life of Busch Gardens. As dawn breaks over the park, Busch Gardens is already a busy beehive of activity. And you're about to learn the secret strategies that keep this organization in tip-top form. An operation this large takes teamwork, and everyone has to pull their weight. With 11,000 visitors a day, the park gets its share of wear and tear, and the off hours are the best chance for rides to be scrubbed, swept, even repainted.
Well, we try to have the whole park look spotless before opening, whether it's the trains or the sidewalks or anything. We try to get it looking brand new every single day.
Time for, we're going to go this way. Why don't you catch up with us?
The park's most important job goes to an army of technicians who closely inspect every one of the Busch Gardens world-class thrill rides. These rides are designed to be terrifying, and they do a good job. But there's no need to worry. Busch Garden engineers are on duty every day to keep the park running smoothly and safely. And that means a daily inch-by-inch inspection.
We walk it with 2 guys per side. The guy on the right side of the track's looking over at the left side. He's looking at the condition of the running steel, loose or missing fasteners, the condition of the wood. He's looking all around. He's looking at the track that passes over, the track that's underneath, handrails, things like that.
At Busch Gardens, the king of the roller coaster jungle is Gwazi, currently the Southeast's largest, fastest wooden roller coaster. More than 1 million board feet of lumber are held together by 2 million bolts. Scaling Gwazi's 15 towering hills is not a job for the faint of heart.
No, you can't have a fear of heights to do this job. This isn't the only ride that gets inspected at Busch Gardens. All our rides get inspected every day before they're open to the public. We're constantly finding hats, watches, pagers, cell phones, sunglasses. If people carry it or wear it, chances are that we've found it on one of the rides out here.
After passing inspection, each ride is given a dry run, even the wet ones.
Safety is our #1 priority, and so operationally, we take it very seriously. All right, what we're looking at here is basically the operator's control panel, and this controls the entire ride. And then once everything is okay, and we can come down here to our dispatch channel button, and we can press this button, and there goes the boat.
These rides help keep Busch Gardens on top of its game. But the wild animals are still the top draw here, and the park's biggest stars are ready to eat. It's time to wheel out a movable feast of grassland treats.
The diet we feed here at Busch Gardens is a special grain that we have brought in, alfalfa hay. They love alfalfa. But I think the favorites are all the little treats that we give them. They like apples, they like carrots, lettuce, but mostly all the browse.
That's some good eats if you're a giraffe. But Busch Gardens must also cater to a more demanding breed of customer, the human animal. And that job goes to a battalion of cooks who prepare food for 7 full-service restaurants and hundreds of snack carts.
Here at Busch Garden, we have about 4 million visitors, and currently we have to use a lot of food.
To supply the 40 miles of sausage links and 1 million pounds of French fries the park serves every year, Chef Bart's relies on a busy kitchen and a vast warehouse.
Okay, now we're gonna see French fries. It's a whole truckload, and we're going through in about a week's time. All be gone. And over there we have a bunch of turkeys. They don't gobble anymore, they're frozen.
9 a.m. It's already been a long day for many of the park's employees, but doors are just opening for business.
Always the first person in line, and I have to be the first person in line. I love it so much.
As the early birds pile into the park, even more visitors stream into the parking lot for a day of adventure. Our big day is about to begin. First up, Nairobi, where you'll find the park's main train station. Here's an insider tip from Busch Garden veterans. Head right in and board the Serengeti Express, because they say this colorful train is the best way to get a quick overview of this sprawling theme park. Pulled by locomotives that are replicas of 100-year-old South African engines, the train follows a 2-mile circular path around the park on the Transvelt Railroad. And the Serengeti Express has the best seat in the house. Once aboard, you'll take a colorful ride through a 70-acre grassland that's a free-range habitat for some of Africa's most famous animals.
It's a 2-mile loop. It has 3 stations. It takes about a half an hour to take the whole trip on there.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome aboard the Serengeti Express.
For most of these animals, this is the only home they've ever known. These creatures of the bush are born and bred right here in their own little slice of Africa. And because they're used to the constant rattle of coasters and the regular stream of sightseers, they're more than happy to let guests get real close.
They're so pretty.
A half hour later, and it's time to move on. As you leave Nairobi Station, it's only a short walk to the tortoise habitat. This is where the animal park really comes out of its shell and gives you an opportunity to get up close and personal with some very interesting critters.
It feels rough, doesn't it?
It's kind of.
They're so docile. Wow.
These are some of the park's most senior citizens, and a few of them are as old as the park itself. If you're looking for an experience that's a hair faster, you can sign on for the Serengeti Safari.
Serengeti Safari. My name is Susanna.
When you climb aboard this special open-air safari truck, put on your game face, because it's going to take you into a wild habitat that could make you forget you're still here in America. With 320 different species, its vast collection makes Busch Gardens the 6th largest zoo in the U.S. And this expedition into the virtual African bush gives passengers a unique chance to interact with everything from the sharp-tipped horns of the dangerous rhino to the gaping yawn of a muddy hippo.
This is neat because it's our trademark. I mean, by having the zebras here, the giraffes. Look at her. From here, you can even see her tongue and the way she uses it around the branches. Yeah, it's called a prehensile tongue.
Keeper Susanna Smith shares the basics on feeding wildlife, from antelopes to storks, to the crowd-pleasing giraffes. Giraffes may be famous for their long necks, but Susanna will let you in on a secret. They have the same number of vertebrae in their necks as humans, 7.
They're just very gentle. Their mouths are real soft. I mean, look at this. Their tongues are just a little bit long and slimy.
Thanks. She wants the lower branches because they're better. You're doing a good job.
Look at his nose. He says it's stinky. Undoubtedly, I think the giraffes are definitely the favorite on our Serengeti Safari. They're one of my favorites, too. They're just so incredible to see them like this, to see them right in your face.
I thought it was really a unique experience. I mean, there's not a lot of places in the world where you can go and see the animals and actually touch them, so it's really special.
Oh, I
I've always dreamed of seeing a couple giraffes in the wild. This is probably as close as we'll ever get, don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're tall.
It was truly amazing. It was just great. And it's a whole heck of a lot cheaper than going to Africa and trying to do it.
Busch Gardens wins a few more fans, and the day is just beginning. Coming up, can you stay on top of 170,000 gallons of water a minute? And the great coaster debate. Which is better, wood or steel? Busch Gardens. It's big, it's untamed, but there's no need to fret. This safari guide will turn your adventure into a day at the park. You're 7 miles northwest of downtown Tampa, Florida, but you wouldn't know it from the surroundings. At Busch Gardens, you're never far from the wildlife, but now it's time to check out some of the park's wild rides. And there's no better place than Stanleyville, an African-themed village tucked into the northwest corner of the park. This area houses some of the park's most distinctive characters: warthogs and orangutans. As you stroll along an orchid-lined boardwalk, you may notice that the mid-morning Florida sun is heating up. But there's no need to work up a sweat, because you can cool off without slowing down with a visit to Stanley Falls, where a refreshing torrent of water becomes nature's air conditioning.
I think the flume ride really defines what this park is, which is a family park, because majority of the people that come here are going to be able to ride it as a group or as a family. It's a fiberglass trough with a rubber belt that lifts them up to the top of the lift hills.
The hill lifts your flume log up 46 feet and then drops, sending your car falling at 30 miles per hour.
And, you're going to reach a big wet splash, and you're going to know it because you're going to feel it, and you're going to love it.
Feels like you're flying. It's pretty awesome.
Hold on tight. The flume may make you feel like you're flying, but you're about to ride on a 60-foot wave that goes by the name of Tanganyika.
The tidal wave, you sit in a boat that generally holds about 20 to 25 people, and we send you out on the ride course. We take you up the top of our lift hill, and then we're going to send you crashing down into a huge splash of water. And believe me, you have not seen a splash of water until you go over and you watch the tidal wave. In fact, on the tidal wave, one of its biggest attractions is just standing on the observation bridge, seeing the wave come at you and running and getting out of its way.
If you're not yet waterlogged, you may want to take the helm on the Congo River Rapids, a recreation of a treacherous whitewater river in Central Africa. But be warned, you'll be tangling with over 170,000 gallons of water a minute. It's been quite a morning, but it's still early and you're here to have fun. Time to kick it up a notch, if you dare. On the park's 5 extreme machines, 4 spiraling steel thrill rides, and Gwazi, a wooden giant, the newest roller coaster in the state of Florida.
Here we are at Gwazi, where the lion meets the tiger. Let's go!
That's a lot of enthusiasm, and it means Gwazi's team of operators have high expectations to fulfill.
We have an overall view of all of our guests down on the platform, so we're checking now for heights to make sure our guests have 48 inches or taller. They're not carrying anything with them that could hurt someone else, like a camera, cell phone. We also watch the employees to make sure they're checking everyone's seatbelt to make sure they're securely fastened. And then their lap bars are pulled down all the way to their waist, and they pull back up to make sure they're locked.
Gwazi is a stomach-hurling ride named after a fabled lion with a tiger's head. The coaster features dueling trains that move out in sync and face off during 6 exhilarating flybys. Riders pass within a few feet of each other at combined speeds of 100 miles per hour. And it can give just about anybody sweaty palms.
Ours is more of an integrated twisting coaster, so you're always having changes of direction. You have highly slanted hills that you go through, and we built 2 of them. There's a lion side and a tiger side, and they're not exactly the same. When you're riding the tiger side, you don't know where the lion side track is, and you're zooming in and out, and it makes it more exciting. They head straight for each other, and at the last minute, they peel off to the right and miss each other.
Today, coaster enthusiast George Schreiber is manning the caboose, and fellow Coaster Club members, the Steinberg family, are taking the lead car. Once they're strapped in, it's time for this lion to shake its tail.
All right, hurry up and wait. All right, here we go. Whoa! I must have come off my seat at least 6 times. What a ride. Way to go. And that was Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. Excellent.
It was amazing.
What's your
A little bit shaky, but good. My tummy's in the air for like 2 minutes.
Great ride. Great air. It felt so good. Loved it. Come on.
I'd ride this day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year if I could.
Busch Garden fans are thrilled by its wild rides, but the park's main attraction is its 3,000 animals, and it's time to check them out. You're on your way to Lorry Landing, a place where birds of a very colorful feather flock together. This interactive aviary features breathtaking tropical birds like parrots and turacas. It's staged as a deserted castaway island and features waterfalls, tons of flowers, and human perches. That's you, by the way. Colorful Australian parrots called lorikeets are the centerpiece of the garden's largest aviary.
We're gonna feed the birds.
Lorikeets are the only species of parrot that doesn't eat seeds, so the key to making friends here is a cup full of nectar.
These guys are excited and they can't wait to see you, so come on in. Just hold your cup. The birds are gonna come and land on us in just a minute. Here they come now.
One pooped on me still.
Oh. Hey, Dad, you mind sharing the birds with the rest of the people?
I feel like the bird man from outer space.
Have one on my neck.
Here we go, smile.
Fortunately, the exit to Lorry Landing provides a way to clean up.
Now, for the extreme cases, we'll just wash you off in the moat, okay, Dad?
Chalk up another set of converts for Busch Gardens.
It's really like a zoo with an amusement park attached to it. You get the best of both worlds.
Coming up, how to feed an 8,000-pound hippo. And do you know the meaning of the word roar, Busch Gardens style? Busch Gardens, one of the most visited theme parks in the country. It has some of the best roller coasters in the world, but this is more than a thrill seeker's paradise. It's also the biggest wild animal park in the state of Florida, with a recreation of the famous African Serengeti. You're halfway through a day-long visit, and it's already been quite a morning. It's just past 12, and that growling sound you hear may be your own stomach. But don't worry, Chef Bartz and his crew have been waiting for their cue. All morning, they've sliced and they've diced, and now it's time to make you feel nice. So pick your plate, grab a drink, and pull up a chair. You're about to do lunch, Busch Gardens style. The 8-piece Sheiks of Morocco Drum and Bugle Corps know how to work the crowd at lunchtime.
while we're playing, we do choreography, we do dance steps, and all kind of twists and turns, and it's unique. We are quite a unique organization. I think we're like one of a kind in the world. Only here at Busch Gardens.
Once you've filled up at the trough, the tables are turned. Now you get a chance to dish out some African delights. It's time to move on to the Edge of Africa, a series of naturalistic habitats that puts you face to face with some of Africa's fiercest beasts. Trekkers set out from an encampment-style welcome center and are soon face to face with everything from sharp-clawed lions to razor-toothed Nile crocs.
At Busch Gardens, we have over 3,000 animals and over 200 different species of animals. We're located right now at the hippopotamus habitat in Edge of Africa. We have 2 hippopotamuses in here, and we also have numerous African cichlids that are in here, which are the fish that are right behind me. You can see the hippopotamuses both above and underwater, which makes it very unique.
Hippos weigh from 4,000 to 8,000 pounds. Vegetarians, they maintain all that weight on coastal hay and special treats.
Moyo! Hi, Eva! Open! Open wide! Okay, there you go. She's like, that's good, that cantaloupe.
The park's state-of-the-art attractions allow unprecedented access to the wildlife.
The lion hyena habitats were designed so that people could get up close to the animals. There's one area we commonly call the Jeep habitat, where the Jeeps are actually put right inside the glass, and that's primarily where they stay during the day. They stay up close to the guests.
These animals are the park's most important asset, and they give Busch Gardens its unique personality. But this park also has an alter ego that's fast and furious. Competition from other parks in the area has pushed the owners to build a whole new breed of roller coaster. The Adrenaline Ride. Now they have 5 of these hurtling, topsy-turvy thrill rides, and each has its own fan club.
My favorite coaster is definitely Kumba. It's wild, it's fast, and it leaves you dizzy but wanting more at the same time.
Kumba is an African word for roar, and Busch Gardens chief ride designer Mark Rose says the ride lives up to its name.
Kumba is maybe the world's best roller coaster. It's a steel roller coaster that goes upside down 7 times. What we try to do is put most of the vertical G's, which is how much you feel that you weigh, through the center of your body. So if a kid weighed 100 pounds, as he's riding Kumba, he might pull 3.85 G's, which means that he weighs or feels like he weighs 385 pounds. But we try to center that all through the center of your body, so you just feel heavier in your seat. Then there's the negative G's, or the air time that you talk about, and that's when we could put you over a hump. And as you go through there, you feel almost weightless, so the G might be 0, so that 100-pound kid feels like he weighs nothing.
Kumba was one of the first mega steel rides in the country to sit 4 across and gives passengers plenty of reason to scream for their lives.
All right, this ride will really take you for a loop.
When Kumba turns on the afterburners, riders on board spin into the center of a gravitational storm. But thanks to a high-tech design, they feel like they're riding on a magic carpet.
Roller coasters are a major consuming part of my life. To be able to come here and just have fun is great. That's why I love this place.
Kumba may be the fastest coaster in the southeastern U.S., but the reemergence of wood coasters like Busch Gardens Gwazi has given fuel to the great coaster debate. Which ride is better, steel or wood?
A wooden coaster is exactly that. It's wood. It's going to have you smash into the person sitting next to you. It's going to rattle you. It's going to shake you. You're not going to know which way you're going. A steel coaster is very smooth. It's going to give you elements that only F-16 fighter pilots have been able to experience. And that's essentially the difference. This is a rockety ride, while a steel coaster is a nice, smooth, fast ride.
But which takes the cake at Busch Gardens? We're taking votes, but it may turn out that this Florida straw poll may be too close to call.
I prefer the steel ones because the wooden ones, you never have the hoops and you don't go upside down. You get that on the steel roller.
And you go a lot faster on the steel ones.
Yeah.
And my vote is for wood. Wood all the way. There's just nothing like it. It's the way roller coasters are meant to be. You could do things with wood that you can't do with steel. And as the coaster gets older, I believe it gets more rickety and you start shaking more. And to tell you the truth, it feels like it's going to come falling apart on the next turn. You just think you're going to come around and it's going to go flying off. You're just always there on the edge. And that's why I love it.
This is one argument which may never end. But whatever your coaster preference, Busch Gardens promises to keep you roaring. Coming up, a chance to get above it all. And how to whisper sweet nothings and get a dolphin to do this. You're on a day-in-the-life look at Busch Gardens, an adventure park that mixes the roars of wild animals with the screams of some of the fastest roller coasters in the world. It's a non-stop carnival of sun, fun, and music. A place where you could turn the corner and come face-to-face with a band like Rhythm and Steel.
We use steel drum, which is from the Caribbean, and we also use African drumming, and it gives us that kind of a unique sound. I think the draw is the sound and the action, the movement. You know, we don't just stand and play, we move. That's part of the draw.
Even the guests get drafted into the action.
You are the chosen one. Come on up here, bud. What's your name?
You gotta do it like this.
Go ahead and do that.
Everything at Busch Gardens is in constant motion, and the best way to get a look at this park's ever-changing face is to climb aboard the Sky Ride.
Every year when we visit the park, we notice that they have something new. It gives you the idea that you're actually adding on to your adventure.
The 7-minute Sky Ride is one of the oldest attractions in the park, but it's also one of the most popular. It's an excellent way to get from one end of the park to the other, while enjoying a panoramic view 50 feet above the Serengeti Plain. While loading people on and off, ride operators keep an eye on the sky. It's just before 3, and a line of thunderstorms is threatening to unleash a cloudburst. That's nothing unusual for Florida, and like all the theme parks in the area, Busch has a well-rehearsed severe weather plan.
This is one of the higher points. We have a good open view of the surrounding area, and we do weather watch for the park. Our security dispatch area has a brand new state-of-the-art weather tracking system.
Sensing a chance of high winds and lightning, Tina prepares to pull the plug on the Sky Ride.
This is where we control the ride. This is the control panel for the Sky Ride. Over here we have our wind gauges.
I've got some bad weather, you guys shut the ride down.
Okay, go ahead and take it down, procedure 1, and I'll make the call.
Okay.
Okay. Unit 12 to 100, be advised we have a signal 3000 weather on the Sky Ride, closing procedure 1.
Security reports, we have 3 1014s coming in. One of them is severe, it's got hail in it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Even here at Busch Gardens, where it's a beautiful, lush, relaxing atmosphere, we still have occasions that come upon that are out of our control, like with Mother Nature today and the storms that we're having, that unfortunately closed down our rides for a little while, but it's for the safety of the guests and everyone involved.
It's pouring rain. You may think you're out of luck, but there's never a shortage of things to do at Busch Gardens. And we're just in time to catch the opening number at the Moroccan Theater, home to one of the park's most popular live shows.
Ladies and gentlemen, Busch Gardens is proud to present World Rhythms on Ice.
World Rhythms on Ice is a 38-minute show. It's a very high-energy show. It's fantastic. The fans love it. And we take you on a tour of 7 different countries, starting with Africa. And it's Broadway style. It's big. It's extravagant. The costumes are absolutely beautiful. It's just something people want to see.
Back outside, the sun is once again shining bright, and the park's rides are in full swing. And there's just enough time to get from here to Timbuktu in the center of the park, where a couple of dolphins are about to flip out. If you've seen a dolphin show somewhere else, you'll know what to expect. As the two sea mammals, Mick and Bud, jump and dance their way through a 20-minute show. But there is a twist, and it could be you. In this show, a lucky few get the chance to play the role of ringmaster. And here's an insider's tip. If you want to be a dolphin wrangler, show up 15 minutes early and let the trainers know. Coming up, an Egyptian god turns the world upside down. And you'll find out what Busch Gardens has in mind for the future.
The songs that we be crooning, the masterpieces many have wrote. Oh yeah, the harmonies are pleasant, the past and of the present. Look out, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're the men of note. Welcome to Busch Gardens.
It's getting late, and our day at Busch Gardens has been filled with thrill rides, thousands of animals, and non-stop live entertainment. That leaves us just enough time to squeeze in one last ride. And this one will knock you right off your feet.
We came here literally to ride the Montu.
Yeah.
Wanted to ride the fastest and best and wildest, and those loops and everything was great.
Yeah, it's basically all about the Montu.
Having journeyed all the way from Long Island, New York, this band of intrepid explorers discover Montu, entombed behind a giant hieroglyph wall.
It's hieroglyphic. What does all this writing mean? It looks like the cover of an Iron Maiden record.
Passing ancient symbols for life, death, and immortality doesn't deter the team from their goal.
I feel like I'm on the set of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Finally, they reach the heart of the chamber, where they claim the prize seats, up front and center, on a ride that's about to take them through 4,000 feet of non-stop twists and turns, and a 100-foot inverted loop that's the largest in Florida.
The 3.5 G-force is 63 miles an hour. I certainly need to take off these. This will end up in someone's Christmas stocking. This is the closest we come to flying a fighter pilot.
Once these intrepid raiders are locked in position, the platform drops out, leaving their feet dangling below their car. It's now time to face the warrior, Montu. Then Montu takes over, sending them speeding at over 60 miles per hour through 7 loops. After surviving its corkscrew finale, they escape the clutches of the mighty Montu.
Oh, this is home? How was it? Where's my living room? That ride was amazing. Where am I? I think this is the best ride I've ever been on. I think it's the best roller coaster I've ever been on. Here. I think if you're going to do the Montu, you should definitely sit in the front row. It's definitely worth the wait. Because the view is great. You go up, it feels like it's 63,000 miles an hour.
I've ridden ridden the Montu about 81 times, and you know, I'm trying to count all the loops and turns and stuff, and after like 4, I kind of just lose track. I don't know, it's so wild, you know. 63 miles per hour, all these G-forces, I don't know what they're thinking. You know, my head's upside down, my stomach is in my mouth, and it's so much fun. I love this place. It's the best.
Thumbs up for the Montu. Very good. Good job, Montu.
There you go. See that? Ride the rides.
Well, it's been quite a day, but it's getting late. 6 p.m. is curtain call at Busch Gardens. As the last coaster comes to a stop and the animals settle in for the night, the sun begins to set on another busy day. Over 11,000 fun seekers have taken a high-adventure safari, Busch Gardens style.
We came, we saw, we conquered!
It's a good time for all, complete with a tour through a virtual African Serengeti filled with exotic animals in a natural setting, as well as face-to-face interactions with everything from a 4-ton rhino to a flock of colorful lorikeets. Plus, a whirlwind tour through a roller coaster jungle of adrenaline rides. This unique mix of wildlife and wild rides gives Busch Gardens a unique personality in the theme park universe. But in this business, it's a constant rough and tumble struggle to stay on top. That means Busch Gardens is always updating. Its newest attraction will take advantage of its greatest strengths, combining a thrill ride with up-close animal interaction.
We have one of the most exciting attractions coming to Busch Gardens in 2001. It's called Rhino Rally. This is a prototype type of ride unlike anything in the theme park industry. It's going to be awesome. A group of people do a 4-wheel drive experience, especially built Land Rovers that can go through this awesome terrain. Now that terrain will now have animals in it. Asian elephants, Cape buffalo, white rhino. We'll go through a pool with swimming crocodiles in the pool. So we're going to give people an incredible up-close experience with these animals, but it's not over yet.
Beyond the animals lies a raging river. When the Land Rover attempts to cross a pontoon bridge, it's to be hit by a surging tidal wave and swept downstream directly under a waterfall.
It's going to be a one-of-a-kind integrated experience between animals, up close, and an incredible water ride.
That commitment to quality is a park trademark.
What sets Busch Gardens apart is that we're real. Every visit here is going to be a little bit different, not only because we add new attractions, but because our animals are live animals and unpredictable. Our rides are unpredictable as well. You're never going to see the same thing twice, and that's the key to Busch Gardens.
And that brings us to the end of our day-long behind-the-scenes safari. Busch Gardens, like all good theme parks, has taken us away from our everyday lives into a world of sun and fun, where time seems to fly and everybody is a kid again, at least for a day.